Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Stassi. Thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited to have Myshunosun here today. And girl, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be talking to you.
Oh my God, the pleasure is all mine. You are stunning. Like your Instagram page is stunning. I always know when it's you, when I'm like, oh my God, she posted. Anyways, we got to start off this interview. I want to welcome my new listeners coming in here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your Sim self and how long
Sure.
you've been playing The Sims?
Right. So I'm Myshunosun, as you might have guessed already. So I've been playing The Sims for I think about 15 years. Time kind of goes by very quickly. I started with The Sims 2. The Sims 2 is still my favorite title in the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I used to play quite a lot of kind of, I guess, generational gameplay in a
Mm-hmm.
sense when I was playing The Sims 2 back in the day.
Yeah.
And then I got exposed to the world of custom content at some point during my time playing The Sims. So that's when the kind of this excitement about creating in the community kicked in. So from The Sims 2, obviously The Sims 3 came out in 2009, I believe, which is
Mm-hmm.
also like a long time ago at this point. I've been creating content for The Sims 3, but I haven't really gotten into The Sims 3 as much as I was into The Sims 2. So when The Sims 4 came around, I kind of regained my passion
Mm-hmm.
for the franchise once again. And I've been creating custom content for a while now, but I started publishing and posting as Myshunosun, I believe a couple of years ago, maybe 2020, maybe around the time the pandemic started, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure at this point, but it's been a couple of years. So I think as Myshunosun, I've been posting for like over 2 years now, maybe. So yeah, that's kind of the short of it.
I love that. So you played Sims 2, you played Sims 3, but obviously played Sims 4. You've not played the original Sims, is that correct?
I I haven't really. I think I was a bit too young to play the
Okay.
original Sims games. But I think there was at some point, like several years ago, I tried to get it installed on my PC because I was like really curious about trying it out. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it is iconic in the
Oh
sense
yeah.
of like just the cultural impact alone. Um, I don't think I ever got it to work, so I am just gonna say that I have not played The Sims, the original The Sims game.
Oh my God. Okay. My heart goes out to you. My question is, I like to ask people who are OG, like original simmers. I would still consider you an original simmer. You've been playing this for 15 years. I've been playing this game for 20 years and I'll be 30 this year. So let's do math, kids. That is 2/3 of my life that this has always been a constant. If Origins came out with the Sims 1 remastered, did a 25th anniversary of it and was just like, here's all the packs and here's the shit. I want like a Taylor Swift version, like I want a Maxis version of shit that didn't get to make it into the first game. Would you buy it?
I would. I totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I would buy anything related to The Sims. I think. I mean, Um, I have a better question. When will they drop The Sims 2 Ultimate Collection on Origin again? Like that's the real question.
Right? It was the awful gamer that informed us that well, informed me that there was controversy with that they you could have had it on Origins, and then when they switched to the EA app, a lot of people lost their Sims 2 game, and they're like, well,
Really?
yeah, and they're just like, because you bought it, and they're like, yeah, because like it just didn't work, and just buy the new one. Like that was the ongoing theme. So people lost their Sims 2 game. I would shit their pants, but because you said this, I have to show you this. This is currently what I'm sitting next to. Like, look at this.
Oh, nice.
And for everybody who's listening, not watching, I have all, as you've seen before, my Sims 2 collection. I have way more than I got this as well. Let's see. I think this is mostly my Sims 3. Let's go. Let's take a look at this, kids. Like, my brother-in-law works at a thrift store and people will donate their Sims games and he buys them all up for me. So
Oh, that's sweet.
I know, like he'll be like $2 or $3. Like I'm pretty sure the price tag on this one still says like 19.99. So I'm like, eh. Like how are Sims 2 expansion packs like $20?
I
They're
know.
like fucking
What
they're
the
like 20
hell?
bucks now. Like I like no, but I agree. I would love to have the Sims 2 Ultimate Collection on EA app. I'd buy it. I'd spend $100 on it. I think it's something that's super missing, and you'd have the next generation, people that weren't even fucking alive when the Sims 1 and Sims 2 came out, come out and play it and see why it's such a good game. A lot of people's experiences with The Sims is Sims 4. And to me, I think that's a slap in the face. That's like starting, if you're like, I'm going to watch the Harry Potter films, but I'm going to start with the fifth film, not the fourth film. You've heard that correct. The fifth film, the film where it's like, oh, I guess it's different now, where like it has like the nostalgia of like obviously the heart-shaped bed and the go-go dancer cages and the woman flying out of the cake and the genies and the burglars. It's just shit that's like missing now.
Yeah,
It had
yeah.
character back then. Now it just kind of feels like an
I
empty
mean,
shell.
I agree with you in a sense of like there are a lot of things that I miss from The Sims 2. That's why it's kind of still my favorite title.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like The Sims 2, and you said it yourself, like it had character.
Yeah.
It was it was a bit wild. It was an experience. It was so good. Like there are things like of course now looking back when I'm like entering the game again, like of course it's not as detailed in certain aspects as The Sims 4 is. Well, naturally, because it's when was The Sims 2 released? Like 2004? That is like almost 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, I think so. It was like 2004, 2005 or something like that was when Sims 2
Yeah.
came out. And let's take our imagination on that was revolutionary at the time. Like the internet was a baby still. Like you had AOL and you may have had like 1,000 minutes or something like that. Google was brand new. What games did you play? Like Neopets? That was somewhat broken. And it was so life changing of that game where you were able to create yourself. Like there was nothing like it at this time.
Right.
Now The Sims has competition. And honestly, I think the competition is overdue. I think we need that competition to level out The Sims. I'm so excited for Paralife and Life by You. Like
I'm very excited about Paralives, yeah.
yeah, I'm curious to see what will happen. Will The
I
Sims fall? I
I
don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, like it's competition is good. Like, and I think I'm very excited to have like, alternatives. Or I wouldn't say alternatives. Of course, like Paralives and Life by You, they're like, they're their own titles. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it would be unfair towards those titles to kind of come into them expecting a somewhat of a slightly different The Sims experience. Like I would imagine that those are, games with their own character and their own kind of
Mm-hmm.
attitude towards simulation games. But like I love simulation games in
Mm.
general. Like I really enjoy those. And I'm really excited about Paralives, and I am excited by, I don't know if you're a part of the Patreon pool for Paralives, but like it's so
Mm-hmm.
exciting to see what they're working on and kind of their progress, which is something that I enjoy to catch up on with. Like it is very exciting to follow kind of the development of Paralives, and as a content creator, I'm really excited about the tools that they would be offering to content creators. Essentially, like that is something that I'm definitely looking forward to, because to me creating content and like creating custom content is basically an essential part of experiencing a live simulation game, because I like this aspect of adding stuff to a title basically.
I could not agree more, which actually leads me to my next question. Would you jump ship and start making custom content for Paralife?
Would make custom content for Paralives. I mean, I wouldn't call it jump ships, because I think I would be continuing to do like both games. I would imagine that if I got into Paralives and like I actually connected with it, because I mean, we don't know at this point, like the game is not out yet. It
Mhm.
looks amazing. I'm really excited about it. But then of course, like what matters is if I were to get into it when it eventually comes out in a couple of years or something like that. If I were really into it, then
Yeah.
I definitely see myself creating custom content for Paralives. It's a completely different art style,
Hmm.
which I find really exciting. I mean, I am basically like I grew up being into arts and crafts and all of that stuff and being kind of an illustrator. So I'm really into this aspect of exploring something else other than this kind of Maxis art
Okay.
style when creating content. So for me, that is definitely one exciting part of like this possibility of creating content for Paralives. So yeah, definitely. But I wouldn't call it, jump ships. I mean, I wish there were more than 24 hours in a day so that I could create as much custom content as possible for as many exciting titles as possible. So
Hmm.
we'll also have to see on that front how things go.
Of course. Okay, I got another question for you because I know you're excited for Paralyzed, but do you know anything about Life by You?
Um, I've only seen I think it was the teaser trailer.
Okay.
I've been reading some, I believe on Twitter, I've seen some like kind of Q&A threads by the developers, and kind of catching up on the questions that they've been asked about like the features that would be coming up with
Hmm.
Live by You during the initial release, but not much else. Oh, we're having some dogs in the background here, so
That's okay.
you're gonna have to listen. You're gonna have to listen to
You're
that
gonna
as
hear
well as we're talking about this.
you're gonna listen to some dogs. It's totally fine. You'll hear construction, you'll hear doors, you hear it all. See, the reason I asked you about Life by You is because it was the Sims 2 and Sims 3 creator that came
Yeah,
together and wanted to do this. I didn't know anything about this until I did my yearly interview with Cookie, and she was like, we gotta jump ship, man. Like EA wants nothing to do with us. Let's see if they want something to do with us. And we've been trying to get a hold of them to be like, I would love to interview you guys. Um, I'm like very excited for Life by You. I mean, by the time this podcast comes out, the game's already out, and I hope that it succeeds with the promises they're giving us. I just like how, like, just kind of like Paralyzed, like they're showing things. Like, I literally just got a tweet 5 minutes, as like 5 minutes ago, in the midst of this podcast, talking to like they're gonna have grocery stores. Like,
right.
the fuck? Like, I remember going to the grocery store in The Sims. That was a huge aspect of, I think, Sims 2 or Sims
Yeah,
3. You could like, I just like that shit. I miss that shit. Even if like you didn't get to walk down the aisles and you didn't put the shit in the cart, but it was just like the aspect of like doing physical errands.
yeah.
I miss that. And I know you have like get together and you can like go to a clothing store, furniture store or whatever, but no one does that. Like, cause like pack is
It's not the
broken.
same.
It's
It's not the same.
it's not the same. Like I want to be like, oh, like you this is, I think this is what I want. Like, so let's build a perfect world. Let's call it Stassi's perfect world. And pick whatever you want in it. I'm gonna keep it as generic. I want homes and a portion of it. I want restaurants. I want community lots. I want a fucking mall. I want fast food places. I want like a sporting arena or whatever the fuck you do for entertainment. I want like a skate park. Like, I want to actually feel like a fucking world instead of it being like ugly home, ugly home, ugly home, library that no one uses, ugly home, community lot, which is like a pond in the middle of the thing, and nothing. Like, I really kind of miss that sense of just like, oh, like I want like the shopping area being like, oh, like we're gonna go get our groceries and stuff. Like, that's life simulation to me. Don't fucking send me to Love Fest to go do, or the all the like the festivals and stuff like that. That's like fun stuff. That's like fun weekend stuff. But like, give me my day to day. How about you finish work and you're like, oh fuck, I got to run to the store and grab milk because I forgot to do that. Just kind of bringing in that little bit more of that life simulation aspect instead of being like, oh, Well, I'm just gonna go home. Oh, I have every ingredient in the fridge. Cool.
I hear
No,
you. I hear
there's
you. I mean,
yeah.
like it's of course like those are things that those are things that I miss because for example in The Sims 2, like you
Mm-hmm.
had your basically you had to do shopping, you had
Yeah.
to do groceries, you had to buy clothes, and I like that aspect. It's like it's an essential part of kind of, okay, like managing your household basically and managing your household's economy essentially.
Yeah.
It was an added challenge. I do kind of understand why in the later titles. I don't believe like I don't remember how it was in The Sims 3, but like with The Sims 4 as an example,
Mm-hmm.
like I kind of get why they moved away from this, aspect of like shopping for clothes, for example, and,
Mm-hmm.
choosing to do kind of like, okay, you just need to go into CAS to edit your sim.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would think that it's because like maybe the designers recognize that some players prefer to have this like fast paced like kind of gameplay in a sense like, oh, I don't want to bother with doing this, thing of going and getting new clothes for my sim. I want to edit my sim, I want to change them as like very quickly, and I want to play around in CAS quite extensively. Like I kind of get that aspect, especially looking at how people in the community interact with The Sims 4 these days, because a lot of people basically play it as dress up, which is totally fine. And
Mm-hmm.
like, you do you, like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because people go into CAS and then they spend like hours in CAS creating all kinds of Sims, which is exciting. And I think that maybe the designers recognize that, that's something that people are into compared to, having this experience of like, actually sending your sim to a clothing store to
Yeah.
get a set of clothes. So I kind of see the point there, and perhaps it's the same with like groceries as well. Although it's kind of like for me personally, like I like that kind of mundane, like boring
Mm-hmm.
gameplay stuff. Like I think it's fun. I
Well,
think it's fun to manage.
well, I think you just nailed it on the head. It's gameplay. The EA forgot about gameplay. They're giving us build buy packs. They're giving us cast packs, which is awesome for those, but for actual game players and legacy players and let's play characters, like okay, so like let's just say it's a Saturday afternoon, you have your teen sim. What are you gonna do? You call up your friends, you go to the mall. Like, what if there was like let's say Forever 35 for a great example, the play on Forever 31, and you go in and you saw like, oh, like different clothes that weren't in CAS. And you had to buy these clothes to get them into CAS. Or they just came out with high school packs, the high school year last year. What if they had like a dress store and you could go and pick out your prom outfit? It just, and stuff that wasn't generally in CAS. It was like, I'd love a debugged CAS section that you had to buy or like you had to, and obviously I know some of that's there, but just like go and be like, oh, like I picked out this dress from this place. It's just adding in that gameplay, adding in that chaos. Like, what if I was a teen that got a part-time job so I could afford to do these things? I think it's just adding that fun gameplay back into it instead of builders that just build and cast that just cast. Like I want EA to remember that there's a storytelling aspect into
I
the Sims,
get you. Yeah.
especially for console players who don't have the access to have CC. They don't have the access to do any of like the extra fun stuff like poses or anything like that. So adding that type of gameplay back into the Sims, I think would be beneficial. And I think it's something that we forget that we'd actually want, like for some players at least. Like for an example, for me, I don't give a fuck about infants. Like if I could turn that function off, I will. I don't play with infants. That's not in my lifestyle. I mean, half the things I just suggested, I would just be like, I play with poses and resident lots. Like that's as far as I go. But for my legacy players out there, I think that's what they want. They want that added chaos back, where instead of it just being like safe, I would rather it be chaotic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you. Like, I think that there were definitely attempts in The Sims 4 to go for that type of energy. Like,
Hmm.
Werewolves is my favorite pack for The Sims 4 in a while because of how just chaotic it is. Like, I think they've done something. Like, I was so excited about Werewolves. I mean, first of all, I love playing with occult Sims.
Yes.
Like, I love vampires, I love werewolves. I was super excited about playing with witches or
Hmm.
spellcasters back in The Sims 2.
Yeah.
You had you had your plant sims, you had your werewolves, you had your zombies, you had all that kind of stuff that I was always into all of that spooky shit basically. Um, and with the werewolves, like I when it was announced, the reaction was so like polarizing, but I was like, this is like the best thing that has happened to The Sims in a while. And when I got the pack, I was not disappointed. Like I play with werewolves all the
Hmm.
time. I love the character of the pack. I love the buy mode. I love the build mode. I love the gameplay. I think it's so chaotic and I think it's so fun. It's so good. And this is exactly what I've been missing, like
Hmm.
that type of chaotic character, because I feel like The Sims 2 has plenty of that. Even The Sims 3, from kind of what I remember, even though I don't really get back to like return to The Sims 3 all that frequently. Like there are certainly those kinds of like elements of chaos in The Sims 3 as well. And I really miss them in The Sims 4 as well. And I want more of that.
Yeah.
And I think like with high school years, since you just mentioned the
Hmm.
pack, like I think there was also an attempt of like recognizing that need for mundane stuff, but they've done it with like, this mechanic of having a thrift store basically,
Hmm.
which is kind of mimicking this experience of going into a clothing store and picking out something. But then my kind of I like that, but then my what I find annoying is that the lot type that they added to the game is like specifically thrift store and bubble tea store. So like
Yeah.
it's two things at the same time. And I'm like, couldn't you just have two separate lot types? Like
Yeah.
it's I don't necessarily, because it's like it's a specific type of energy that you get from a lot that has kind of two things merged into one, like a bubble tea store and a thrift store. I never
Yeah.
understood that. I was like, why can't it just be thrift store and then bubble tea store? Like it's not that deep. Like it could be separately, but like yeah. But what I'm trying to say is like I think there was an attempt at recognizing that there's a need to have that type of like gameplay of okay, shopping and then sending your teens to do something to hang out or whatever. But then kind of the execution I think could have been better, basically.
I could not agree more. I was so excited for that pack. I literally last night, me and the awful gamer, we sat down, we ranked every pack. If you haven't checked out that podcast, go do it after this one. It was really fun to sit down and rank it. I was the most excited for that expansion pack because I'm a storyteller. It's based in America. I was so excited to have that high school experience, actually having a high school and having like actual high school things, such as like pep rallies and kind of a little bit more of like school decorations. Cause like the Discovery University had a little bit of it, but just it was so boring. And I was so excited for this pack. We were going to get cheerleaders, American football players. Like it was just like, it was so fun. And I was so disappointed by every aspect. The school was boring. The football lot wasn't a thing. They didn't actually provide football uniforms. They provided gym clothes. That's different. The cheerleaders, they had to be on dirt to do their poses and their dancing. And that's fun and shit. But like as a CC user, there's so much amazing CC out there. The like I only like the thing I use the most out of that is the cheerleader uniform and some of the build buy. The world's significantly small for what it is, but the debugged is incredible because you could do like carnival stuff. But you're absolutely right. The fucking like a thrift store at a bubble tea place, like different. then it should be like its own separate thing. Like it, like why is it not two laws? Like you said, that doesn't make any sense to me, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Okay. Speaking of worlds, I have to ask you, since your name is loosely based on city living, is city living, is that one of your favorite packs?
I play a lot with it. I
Okay.
think it is one of my favorite packs. Mostly because I think that I mean I do love the neighborhoods
Hmm.
and I do the neighborhoods of San Myshuno, that is.
Okay.
I mean I've always been kind of into speaking of the worlds, like one thing that I wish could be improved in The Sims 4 is kind of the variety of types of worlds that we have.
I
Like
would love to see other ethnicities being properly represented. I'm so tired
yeah,
of fucking North American worlds. Stop
me
making
too.
North American world. I live in North
Yeah,
America. Stop making them.
yeah. It's like I stopped reaching for like the neighborhoods that came with like the latest packs.
Hmm.
I'm kind of always playing in like let me think. I usually like basically build a new crest and kind of make new crest be whatever it is I want to be. I kind of want more of those like empty worlds where you can just
Okay.
kind of build your own type of thing. But when it comes to city living and when it comes to San Myshuno, I mean, I love the world because
Hmm.
it is kind of, I mean, I like having apartments in The Sims. That was my favorite thing about The Sims 2. I loved the apartment life expansion pack. Uh, and I love apartments in the Sims franchises. I wish they were similar to the Sims 2 apartments.
Hmm.
Speaking about the Sims 4, because like in the Sims 2, you could technically, with the cheat, you could build your own apartment complexes and stuff like that. So I wish we had the same type of mechanic of doing that in The Sims 4. I do love the world and I do actually play quite a bit with features from City Living. So like I do think that it is pretty integral to my experience of The Sims 4. So I would like if I were to say whether I want to have it or not have it, like I would rather have City Living than not have it, you know, if that makes sense.
No, it totally does. It's so funny you say that. So me and Alex actually voted that city living should be deleted or a whole pack refresh. And kind of like what you said, like I understand like the city living aspect is really cool, but I'd love if we were able to actually build full on apartments because there's so many in the gallery, but they're just a lot and you can have 8 Sims in there, but like I would like to have like that more creativity. The cast items are a little okay. The only really saving grace we liked from it was the festivals that really introduced it, but it's it,
I actually
I feel like
I
this pack needs a huge refresh and like actually let's refresh it. Let's bring back more of that city living. Let's bring back more lots that are not just apartments. Let's have I know there's a little section for like other stuff, but like let's make it feel more of like a city living experience versus it just being like good, better, best apartments and a couple small little things. I want to see more of that. I want to see more chaos. I want to see rats and the
yeah.
lower apartments. I want to see just more distressed things. You're in New York, you're spending $1,000 a month. Like, or you know what I also want to see? I want to be like you to go in to like the city living, you live above a business. That's so common. I want to see
Yeah.
more of that. Like, I want to be like, oh, like you live above a flower shop or a noodle shop or just something like that. Or just like, I know we don't have open concepts in the Sims store because God forbid we have nice things, but just kind of like that more of like an actual like city vibe because it's loosely based on living in New York. Like, that's what that pack is based on
Kind
kind
of,
of.
yeah.
So like I want that more. I want more of those neighborhoods experience. I want like a Brooklyn neighborhood. I want like a Manhattan neighborhood. I want a Queens. I want a Williamsburg. And I want to like it to feel those things. I want to have those coffee shops, those beers, those like events, not just like a festival, but like open mic nights and piano shows and theaters and like being able to go see like a Broadway play and just kind of stuff like that, like in the city. Or
I get
like,
you. I
yeah,
get you.
it's just kind of stuff like that that like I really wish that they would go in and add more. And
Yeah.
instead of it just kind of being, here's some big things. Or like actually to acknowledge an elevator. I think that's something that's I would love. It's like and actually having elevators instead of having stairs. Like you can buy
Right.
an elevator. Because I know in The Sims, like it's in debugged and it's fine. Like you can stick it there, but like
Yeah.
imagine if you're a baller building out a mansion and you're like, well, my house is gonna have an elevator. Right?
But
It's just it kind of stuff like that. I just kind of feel like it's
yeah,
it's missing some like the characteristics of it being like a city, in my opinion.
I get it. I get it. Like, but I think it's a pretty common theme with a lot of Sims packs though. It's kind of like
Hmm.
you're tapping into something that could be really good. And I feel like it's a common theme for a lot of Sims packs where it's like I recognize the features that they were trying to go for. And like I personally still enjoy San Myshuno. Like
Yeah.
I know that it's not that, that much of a kind of detailed experience because like a lot of it is just shell of a city kind of,
Yeah.
but still I feel like compared to other neighborhoods it still has some sort of a character and it has still some stuff going on in it. So like that's why I continuously like, when I'm creating a new family or when I'm thinking about like where is it that I want to play, I do play quite a bit in San Myshuno.
Hmm.
So I still continue to kind of reaching towards that world and playing with that world. But I agree that, I feel like with a lot of packs, there's this kind of like you start to notice that you could have something great instead of just like okay or good. Like
Yeah.
if there was like just a little bit more to the world or to the gameplay. Like I think maybe because you mentioned high school years, like I
Mhm.
think high school years was kind of a bit disappointing for
Oh,
me. I enjoy, like, I really like the idea of having certain life stages be more fleshed out and having kind of more activities and more stuff to do. But what I got out of high school years is like not much.
hmm.
I don't really enjoy the world. I think it's really small. We've seen that before over and
Yeah.
over again. I never play with that world. Also, my personal pet peeve is if there's a new world and there are barely any collectibles in there, I'm not gonna be reaching for that world. Like there
Yeah.
are no collectibles in that world, I think, from at least from my experience of that neighborhood.
I
I'm a hoarder. I like just gathering stuff. I like doing collectibles. That's something that I enjoy in my personal gameplay. So if the world is kind of empty in that sense, I just don't reach towards it.
I could not agree more. That world was it's an empty shell. It was missing a lot. To be honest with you, I was more disappointed with the growing together world. I forgot that it came with a world because long story short, I had Christmas money. I bought it, like I pre-ordered it like the day it came out because I had Christmas money. And I was like, oh yeah, fuck, I guess there's a world to this. Like, let's look at it because my world like my world view is broken. So I have Copper Falls, the high school world there twice. And then I have the world there twice. And then I have the getting growing together world kind of like stuck in the middle. And for some reason I have two full worlds that like they're just completely it's like I have a double set of those worlds, which is awesome when it comes to storytelling
Right.
because I have more space. And I looked into the growing together world and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, this pack was 60 Canadian dollars. And this is the world we got with this. Holy shit, the world with werewolves felt more put together, in my personal opinion, than the growing together world.
I like that world, the werewolves one. I like it because again, like talking about character, like it's
Yeah.
so like it's messy. There's trash everywhere. It's
Yeah.
the buy mode is excellent.
Yeah.
World is excellent. It's small, sure,
Yeah.
but I feel like I would rather have a small world with some sort of a character to it than another Copperdale or another San Sequoia.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
I
fuck
don't.
yeah.
I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but whatever.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I agree with you. I don't reach for the grown together world at all
No.
in my gameplay. I moved a family there. I quickly realized that there isn't really much going on there. Not even in terms of like, it wasn't even that exciting to like even look at. I don't
Yeah.
even need that much in the world to be excited by it, but that one was just kind of plain and
Yeah.
quickly realized that, okay, I can just go back to some other world that I find more interesting than this because that was like really, really just bland,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Oh, I could not agree more. I was like, wow. Because remember, the werewolf at that was a game pack, not an expansion pack, kids. That like it came with a world. I like to see that these expansion packs are now sorry, not, the game packs some come with worlds. It's a cheaper option instead of spending $60 for a world that feels really small. Um, Speaking about new things, I got a couple more questions about, Sims stuff before we switch over to talking about CC. I'm sure you saw that EA put out that they had us vote for the next kits that are coming out. Um, there was castles versus futuristic, bright pink clothes versus goth. Which, if you voted, which ones did you vote for and why?
Okay, I had to actually Google this so that I know what I'm talking about because I remember seeing that vote.
Yeah,
And I also remember that I voted for goth fashion and
obviously.
I voted for high tech futurism because I what?
What? You put no to castles?
I
We need castles.
I don't care about castles. I've seen enough of them. I don't care. I think okay, the reason why I chose high-tech futurism is I think that I mean, first of all, I'm looking I'm looking forward to seeing kind of an exciting pack that is kind of futuristic, but not like, um, how would I call it? Like typical futuristic.
So not Tron level of futuristic, but like
Yeah, no,
actually
no,
future.
no.
You
Yeah,
know The Sims is gonna give us Tron though. Like
I am hopeful. I am very hopeful. Like I feel like we have bits and pieces of kind of buy buy mode and build mode that can kind of, fit towards the kind of castle theme, like from different expansion packs, if I'm thinking about it. Like you could technically kind of take parts of those different expansion packs and get yourself that vibe, I suppose. But also it's just not my personal style. Like
that's fair.
I don't ever reach for that style in build mode. I am when I'm building, and I am building quite a lot. I don't post that much. Like I
Mhm.
do publish lots on the gallery from time to time. But when I build, it's usually like something that is a bit more contemporary. Like I never reached towards like building something in a specific like style of a specific era or with like I don't know, medieval tone to it or anything. Like that's just not my thing at all. So I was like, you know what, I am gonna vote for futurism. And but also like when I saw that poll, I thought that they were gonna give us like maybe 5 options per each,
Mhm.
and it was like one versus the other,
Yeah.
which leads me to believe that they're just going to release all of those things that are in that poll,
That,
basically.
that's literally what I said to Sims-a-thon. I'm like, I'm pretty sure all four are made. They're just figuring out like which two come first. But girl, I just feel so personally attacked. No medieval. Holy shit, that's literally what I strive for is anything medieval when it comes to like my personal game style is I build castles, I build medieval rooms. That's like that's where my story allows me to build. Oh, because I just stand up for castles here really quickly. There's like nothing that's like really good. You got like vampires, a little gothic stuff, but like a true medieval. Like I want a fucking drawbridge. Okay, like there's nothing like that. We got pawns, so that'd be perfect. Or like windows, like there's only like the ones from Get Famous, but like the really long, skinny guys. Like it could kind of be okay, or like the window from Bro It Get Together, but I want
I hear you.
I
I
want
hear
more,
you.
and I feel like futuristic, especially with eco lifestyle, I feel like that really introduced a lot more of the um futuristic stuff that like because we have all of the solar power and all that great stuff and a lot more like boxes and like really like that modern style home like it really introduced a lot of that. The only way I would be okay if it was a futuristic pack if they took inspiration from the fucking Jetsons from like the 1960s or like 2000 Space Odyssey, like kind of shit like that. Like that's what I would want more, or like moon houses on the moon. Like I would want like a space house if we could make a space house. So,
Sure. Like
so
what if who knows? Look,
yeah,
I'm all up for retrofuturism as well. Like if it's
yeah,
going to be that kind of how did they even call it? Let me see. High-tech futurism. I mean, if they interpret it as retrofuturism, I'm all up for it. I'm
yeah.
just like I am very excited about kind of like stylized things. But also on the topic of eco lifestyle, I don't necessarily think that it's futuristic. Like
Huh.
it's just kind of contemporary. Like
Okay.
you see that type of build mode style and a lot of just contemporary architecture, which
Mm-hmm.
does not read to me as futuristic
Okay.
anymore. So, like, if the way that I perceived the option in the poll is like, okay, we're going to get something like stylized and something that is, well, more exciting than
Yeah.
kind of just plain contemporary, because, like, I think those are a different style still.
I hey, either way, it's still cool on the opposite direction. If anything, like we said, I think they're gonna release all four. I am hoping for castles first. But I would be excited to see what their version of futuristic could be. Because I feel like it's either gonna be really good or really disappointed. Like I'm pushing for castles, I'm probably will be disappointed. I already know that. Gothic style though, they best not disappoint that. And I don't want them to fucking pull out like an Adam Wednesday special. Like I want true gothic. I want all of it to be in black, but I want multiple different shades of black. Because there's multiple different shades of black, guys. Like I want like dark or like a lighterish dark or like a medium dark. And I want true goth shit. I gotta live out my like 2000s Stassi when I like no one understands me. I wear eyeliner and I quote Fall Out Boy lyrics. Okay, like that is what I want. I don't we don't need any more pink bright shit for clothes in The Sims. There's so much. Would you agree?
I think, I mean, there's definitely like from the images that we got of the concept art, like I think that the kind of the colorful color block style, that's something that we got in high school years, I
Yeah.
think, and then maybe in the university pack, like it all sounds or looks like quite similar to what's already been released before.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I'm looking at the concept art of this like color block hoodie type of situation, which actually reminds me of this one hoodie that I created for The Sims like a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way that the colors are arranged. Um, and I think that we've seen that before. And I mean, I would be fine with them going for this option as well.
Yeah.
But I just think that we could have more goth fashion. Like, I am
Yes.
looking for something that is a bit that has like some different character compared to what has been included with Cass in the latest packs. Because I mean, it is like I've been enjoying Cass items from the latest packs quite a bit. Like I am
Mhm.
using a lot of stuff from Growing Together. I'm using a lot of stuff from high school years, definitely. Like I think the style and the variety of items has been getting like better and better. And I mean, I've never really had that many complaints regarding buy mode, for example, like when it
Mhm.
comes to variety of things that have been coming with it. But like I'm just looking forward to seeing something different. And that's my expectation in general with The Sims, because it's like we just discussed the worlds, and I'm just looking to like I want to have something that I haven't experienced in the game before. So nothing that is, kind of European or North
Mhm.
American, just something else, please.
I could not agree more. I say all the time, like I would love an African world. I would love an Australian world. I would love an Asian world. That's not the snowy world, the Japan part. Like I would like more I'd love an India world. I would love to see different cultures. I would love like South America get proper representation instead of having jungle adventure and the carnival kit. Like I want to see proper representation of all those worlds, and the only way that's going to happen is if EA has somebody in the room where it happens to make sure that our worlds are properly representative instead of it just kind of being like a stereotype of it. Like I really want them to dive into the culture of each world. Like imagine if we had like a South African pack and like getting in those rich colors and the heritage and bringing in the drama and all that great stuff. Or I'd love like, imagine if we had like a Korean world. Like that shit is everywhere right now. Like imagine if we had like instead of like all these kits that they keep giving us where they tease these little worlds and cultures, let's open up a pack for every single world. I want a Polynesian world. I want island like actual true Caribbean living. I want like a Turks and Caicos kind of style. I know it's part of like North America, but I'd love like Mexican themed. Get some like get some Latino Spanish culture. Let's I'm just tired of it just being so whitewashed. I want everybody to be able to have proper representation like in the Sims and being able to make your Sim self truly how you are instead of having to have to download CC to get proper skin tones or proper hair or proper clothing, or let's introduce food from every culture. Let's do those types of things instead of it like, oh look, it's another American world.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think the Sims team, like, because okay, the situation that we have with the worlds right now, because of how the game is and kind of the interface is designed, like I one of my favorite things about The Sims 2 and The Sims 3 actually is that you could create your own custom neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like in The Sims 2, uh you could get your own map from SimCity. You could set up your own map, added to The Sims 2. You could create your own neighborhood. You could have a desert neighborhood. You could have like a lush, grassy neighborhood, or it could be like full on concrete. Like there was customization there. And that is what I miss a lot. In The Sims 3, you had your full on create a world tool. Like it was excellent. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
so detailed. And I remember browsing through stuff that other people posted, like the worlds that they created for The Sims 3. Like those are so awesome and those are so detailed, and like they have so much character and effort put into them. Like I wish we had that for The
Mm-hmm.
Sims 4. Like for me, that is something that I deeply, deeply wish for and miss quite a lot. Because then I think like we're basically like we can't really create our own custom maps like as content creators, right?
Yeah.
Or I mean, I think what other people do is essentially they basically take existing maps and then modify them, and they either override one of the existing worlds, or I'm actually not sure whether it's possible to even like add a custom world like that. But the point is like you're kind of relying on stuff that already exists within the game, even
Yeah.
if you completely change like the look of the world and the neighborhood. But like there's limit to that customization. And what I miss is, and like because of how the Sims 4 is set up, because you kind of have this art style when you're going into the neighborhood selection. You have like an illustrator doing like graphics for those like neighborhood selection menus and stuff, and you have this map that is not really a map, it's kind of like an artwork representing the neighborhood. Like it makes it so much harder to do customization to it. And I'm kind of really like, this is probably the most upsetting aspect of the Sims 4 to me, because I wish we could create custom neighborhoods and custom worlds, because then I think for a lot of people that would open this door to exploring this
Yes.
aspect of kind of, you know, creating something and creating custom worlds, and you know, not only creating something that is dear to them and representing themselves, but also just exploring something completely different. And yeah, it's just a shame. It's just a shame.
I could not agree more. Imagine, then I would be excited again. Like I don't honestly give a shit. Then like because like there's another world coming, because it said that 2 conferences ago that like, oh, like look at the worlds, and we clearly got one, and the other one they think is like could potentially be like I think Spain, but I don't know. Like I'm just not excited. I want to be able to create my own world and be able to create what I want. Like you said, it's you kind of miss the creativity when it comes to The Sims. I don't know. I'm kind of bored with it at this point, and I want something to shake it up. You know, like I want some chaos. I want something. But speaking of chaos, we got to talk about CC, because I think CC is extremely needed in the game. It adds chaos that's to a very boring game. As a CC creator, can you talk to me about when you, like, obviously I know how when you start making CC, but like what was it like to produce your first ever item? And what was your first ever item you made of CC?
Okay, well, that was a while ago. I remember I was following this tutorial on how to edit a basically a dress, like a dress mesh in The Sims 2. It was like removing some part of some dress in The Sims 2. And I remember how hard it was for me to go through that tutorial, and how excited I was when I finally got it to work. And it wasn't like anything big. It was like removing one polygon from a mesh or something. Like it was something so small, but like creating for The Sims 2, it was, I think, a pretty like complicated process compared to creating for The Sims 4 right now, because we have those like tools that are pretty straightforward, like Sims 4 Studio, for example, when it comes to like creating your own custom content. But back in the day, like I remember how excited I was about that kind of first modification that I did to
Yeah.
some cast item in The Sims 2. And kind of from then on, I basically just started experimenting, basically. I wasn't like, because I started playing fairly young, like I was not really, you know, I had no idea what I was doing. I kind of did whatever I wanted to, like, you know, kind of creating funky eye colors for The Sims 2, or kind of doing, you know, like colorful swatches of like hairstyles and stuff. So things like that. That's kind of where I started. I was always a cast creator, like originally. And then I think kind of later on, as I grew older, I had this period of time when I was kind of like barely playing any Sims. I got into school, and I was kind of like having just less time for hobbies and whatnot. But then a couple of years back, I got back into playing The Sims 4 quite intensely once again. And I have basically like Illustrator background. I'm really into arts and crafts and all that kind of stuff. So for me, The Sims 4, apart from playing the game, it was also always like, has always been a creative outlet essentially. So I got back into creating cast CC basically.
Okay.
Just all kinds of stuff, whatever I felt like. And it was fun to do that for myself, but then I thought that I'd actually start posting, and I created a Myshunosun account on Tumblr.
Okay.
So kind of from then on, I kind of continued creating and posting. And at some point, I wouldn't say that I got tired of creating cast content, but
Mhm.
I felt like I wanted to try out something else. And I've never really been much of a builder, but
Mhm.
then throughout my time playing The Sims 4, I got into building quite a lot. And while kind of getting into that aspect of gameplay, I thought that maybe I could try creating some like build mode or buy mode content. And then slowly I kind of started learning my way through creating buy mode content for The Sims 4, and I kind of continue with it, and I realized that this is something that I really, really enjoy doing, basically.
I love that. And I like how you start with cast and work your way to build by. Now, I asked you this before we started the podcast, but I have to ask your thoughts when it comes to builder CC, because we all know that cast CC is required when you're doing cast. You absolutely need it. But builders don't like to use CC because they want everyone to play their builds. People will also discount builders for using CC because they're like, well, you could have made that. You could have done this. You could have tool or mod, but let's kids, let's pretend that like, yeah, like you tool or mod. Guys, that's still CC. That's still custom content. Even if it's a mod, it's still custom. It's not part of the Sims. It might as well be part of the Sims at this point because it usually just comes hand in hand. But what are your thoughts about builders getting condemned for using CC in their builds?
I think it's interesting. I mean, I see two sides here, basically. Like,
Hmm.
first of all, um, I think that when it comes to building, like there's so much more that you can achieve without using CC in building
Hmm.
compared to what you can achieve when you're not using CC in
Absolutely.
cast. Again, like this is aspect of like, this is the aspect of customization and kind of the variety and diversity of styles that you have available in cast. Because like it's, like I see the reason why people reach for cast CC so much. Like it's pretty clear why. Like it's just the variety, and
Hmm.
it's the diversity, and it's the ability for people to basically, create sims that they want to create, because
Yeah.
they can't necessarily do that with what is available in vanilla cast, basically.
Hmm.
When it comes to build mode, I think the situation is slightly different. I feel like without using CC, you can go much farther in terms of like what kinds of lots you can produce just using, basic The Sims 4 tools without
Hmm.
using any mods and so on. But also, I think that for like a lot of people, I think the gallery plays an important aspect here, because I don't know if you ever go to the gallery to check out households.
All the time.
I never check out households, but I check out lots. And
Hmm.
by households, I mean, Sims.
Yeah. Yeah.
I check out lots. And of course, when I'm going to the gallery, I would be downloading something that does not contain custom content, because I may not necessarily have that piece of custom content. So
Hmm.
for me as a player, it is easier to get something that does not have custom content in it. So I see why people would get kind of maybe irritated by the fact that, okay, there's this slot that is really cool, but I need to get some CC for that. With the sim, like with characters and the Sims,
Hmm.
I think people engage with the Sims slightly differently compared to lots. I feel like people are just more willing to dedicate more time into like getting the CC they need if they want to download a specific sim.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know, I just personally, I've never found myself in a situation where I'm actually like downloading custom sims.
Right.
Like I, because like I've always been kind of like I created like this bubble for myself in terms of like, okay, I have a very specific style of cast custom content that I like.
Mm-hmm.
And I have like a specific way that I create Sims.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really reach out like to get basically other people's pre-mades
Yeah.
or stuff like that. So I think it's about how people engage with content, but also I think gallery plays an important aspect, like because it's so much easier to get like an like a beautiful gorgeous lot that does not have any cc in it compared to getting a sim that you're like that fits your aesthetic or fits your kind of what you're expecting to see in a sim with like just like vanilla items basically. I don't know if that makes sense, and I might like it, some people, and I know that people would disagree with me because I know that there are people who like play The Sims 4, say on a console. Obviously, they don't have any access to custom content,
Mm-hmm.
and they still create like they have a fantastic distinctive sim style, and like any sim style is gorgeous. Like obviously, I'm not saying like anything like that. You do you.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like custom content brings so much into CAS
Mm-hmm.
compared to buy mode and build mode that I think that's why people kind of have come to terms with the fact that okay, if they see some custom content used in a sim, they're just like they're kind of like okay, that's just how it is. Because as you said, like it seems to be just more accepted as a fact that for a lot of people, custom content is essential in CAS.
Well, it is, right? Like let's not pretend we didn't like we only got nails, like nail polish, like 2 years ago when the refresh for spa day, right? But you could have had CC nail polish for years. Like there's still no eyelashes. That's fucking weird. Still eyelashes. You gotta have CC eyelashes. And like even like the makeup, like oh my god, CC makeup is phenomenal. Like you can really kind of get in there. Um and like the eye colors, especially if you want to like really get around to have more realistic eyes, and especially the hair. CC hair is the best. Every time there's a fucking update in the Sims, my Sims look like naked mole rats because that is how much CC I use. It's all CC. I have CC for freckles. I have CC for crooked teeth. I have CC for everything. And when it comes to building, here's my perspective. Whatever you're building, it's your masterpiece. It's your art. You know what your lot or broom allows. And sometimes you want to have those custom like wallpapers that are just missing in the Sims because I find wallpapers really tacky in the Sims. They're just really gothy, very campy. What if I just want a nice section of just really nice wallpaper? But for me, the CC I use the most in my Sims is Deco Sims for storytelling. I use the mod to have half open doors, like the doors that legit are half open. That is so much easier instead of the door just like fucking flying open. Like, get the fuck out of here. Half open windows, just like little like plates, glasses. To me, I'm downloading content that I feel like is missing from the game. So like when I make a kitchen, I want to have like a stack of plates like on the shelf because that's where plates are, or cups or utensils or just different types of things that like the game does not have. And I understand that like the only thing that like throws me for a loop when I see custom content is when it's in English. That shit creeps me out a little bit because it doesn't make sense to them because they only speak Simlish. It's more for us and me making a room. But if you're building, like if you went onto Pinterest and you saw like a room and you want to recreate that to the T, and it had like a live, laugh, love poster, and you want to live, laugh, love poster. I love that. But there's also gallery art. So you can have all that stuff without it being CC, which I use gallery art all the fucking time. I use it for legit everything. But I think we need to stop condemning builders for using CC. It's so cool. And it's just cool to have like someone else's vision in your game instead of it always just being EA's vision. I like to see other people's aspect of like, a contemporary living room or a boho themed or a children's theme. It's just cool to see other people's perspective of it versus it just being like, oh, well, it's the same objects from 2-pack kits ago. They just reshaded them and like slightly reworked it. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like I haven't been too exposed to that kind of like conversation where it's
Hmm.
like, why are you using custom content here? I do think it's maybe, I mean, I might be completely wrong because I'm not like, first of all, I'm not like a builder in terms of like the content that I post. So like I don't necessarily, get those types of comments where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
why are you building with custom content? Well, obviously, like if people go into my like Instagram or something and they see me like post like dollhouse builds that I
Yeah.
like making, like usually it's like something showcasing the items from a new pack, or it's actually going to be a dollhouse that is featuring like items from the latest pack that I released,
Yeah.
or something related to the custom content that I produce. So like for me, like I've never really been part of that type of discussion, and I'm actually like curious, like is it really like that much of a sentiment,
Yes.
like that, that whenever a builder posts a build that has custom content in it, there's like, it doesn't necessarily get as well received as like a no CC build.
Yes. 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 I've
Right,
become friends
okay.
with a lot of builders, a lot of casts, a lot of storytellers. I've met a lot of people in this podcast, and a lot of people are now condemning builders for having CC. They're also condemning builders for using lots of packs.
Right.
Like I find that point. Listen, I spent like $700-800 on this game. I'm gonna fucking use every pack I own for every single build I build because I fucking paid a lot of money for this. I'm gonna do that. But they're always like, oh, like you're using all the packs, you're not making it inclusive for everybody. Leave
Well, I
leave
mean,
builders alone. Leave them alone.
well, I think the best response here is to like, the person who's making that comment, they have an option to just not get the thing,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like just don't download it. But
yeah,
also like the good thing about the gallery is even if you get a lot that has items from the packs that you don't have, you can still get that lot. You just won't have specific items from the
yeah,
pack. Like they will get replaced by something from base game, I think.
yeah,
So it's like, I mean, sure, like, I mean, I understand that it can be kind of very discouraging to see those types of comments whenever you're posting something that features like custom content or items from packs. But like, in my experience, it's like, the best way to deal with this is to kind of like, okay, well, you
yeah,
said what you wanted to say, just like don't
yeah,
download it, like but like yeah, it's I understand the point about like, of course not everyone has as many packs,
hmm,
like because like it is entirely possible that somebody only has base game. Like base
yeah,
game went like completely free like a couple of months back, so of course like people, like a lot of people maybe got introduced to the Sims 4 and they only have base game. And yeah, like the Sims 4 packs and expansion packs and kits and all of that stuff, it's expensive,
hmm,
it's a lot of money, and also it's a lot of content. So I completely understand the frustration that people might have when they see something that they wish they could have in their
yeah,
game but they don't have the pack. Like like it's, it's again like it's a two-sided thing. But like whenever like if I were to see a comment like that, it just, it's just what it is. Like I feel like with every community, like it's not just the Sims. Like with every community, I would imagine that it would be like having these types of conversations around like custom content or something, like it would be a
hmm.
thing.
Oh yeah, I could not agree more. I mean, the Sims like the Simstagram community itself is pretty supportive. You got the odd ducks in there that are kind of like throw you in for a loop. Like any negative feedback I ever get for anything I ever post or do, it's never simmers. It's just normal people that just stumble upon my page, find my page. But you're right. It can come down to every community, and there's both sides. You're like, oh, I wish I had this, but I didn't. But like you can wish those things, but like don't condemn someone that just spent like 20 hours putting this build together and you looked at it for 5 seconds or like garbage because you used all the packs. Like, because now builders are literally stepping in saying, oh, I only used this pack, this pack, this pack. Like that they feel that pressure to indicate what they're using versus it just being like, here, have fun. Because for cast, no one goes in and be like, okay, so this is like, it'd be like, these are the packs I used. That's never happened, to my
But
knowledge.
also, I think it also just kind of shows like how I don't want to use the word like hungry for content people are, because like I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people are like with the speed that we're consuming content, right? Like
Mhm.
because I don't know about you, like when I get custom content, I'm usually very selective about the content that I get. Like I'm trying to keep myself reserved. Like I'm trying to be kind of selective with what I add to the game, because I'm kind of crafting something that is very like reflective of the experience that I want to have in the game. So like I'm never going on like CC shopping sprees per se. But I know that it's not necessarily the case for a lot of people. Like sometimes I'll watch like a cast video on YouTube
Mhm.
and I see how much content people have in cast, like how
Yep.
much custom content they have downloaded. And like I would imagine that like it is the same thing in like build mode or buy mode. Like people just want more content like
Mhm.
constantly. And I think that this is the this is also the reflection of that. Like, you mentioned this aspect of like, okay, I looked at a post for 5 seconds and then I decided to say something
Mhm.
under that post that is not necessarily complimentary or something.
Yeah.
So it's like it's also just the speed with which the content is consumed. I feel like
Yeah.
I was trying to go somewhere with that point, but I kind of got lost in the midway. But it is, I think it's especially with Instagram, because you're kind of just like scrolling through your feed.
Yeah.
Like it's very easy to leave a comment after looking at a thing for like 3 seconds. I wouldn't put that much effort though. I would I rarely comment anything under like an Instagram post or like on Tumblr. Now that I'm thinking about it, like those are very rare occasions actually.
Yeah. Hey, there are some people out there that are sweet baby angels like you that just enjoy seeing content and not needing to comment. There's the dark side of people wanting to tear people down. That's a very bad problem in social media right now of just basically doxing and bullying is really bad. And I think we need to stop that. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean you have to be like, I hope you die. Just don't like it.
No,
Unfollow,
sure. I
right?
mean, yeah, of course, absolutely. I mean, it's not just like, let's be clear, it's not just The Sims 4
No, it's
or the Sims
everything.
community. It's a lot of things. And
Yeah.
like I feel like in the Sims community, sometimes we kind of like I sometimes see that people get very like upset, and rightfully so. Like whenever you have like bad actors in the community, let's say that,
Yeah.
people feel like it's overwhelmingly bad and
Mm-hmm.
negative, but I don't necessarily think that it's the case um, when it comes to The Sims specifically. But like, yeah, I think in general the Sims community is actually quite nice,
Yes.
honestly.
Oh, a
Um,
100%. Like the actual like Sims playing community, amazing. People who sometimes play the Sims, they're okay. They don't get it as much as we get it. And then the people super outside looking in, they're the bad ones. The people that just like have never played Sims before, but our algorithm is showing them shit and they're throwing their anger out on us. Those are the people that are dangerous.
Not all of them, but there are definitely like there's a higher chance that you'll just encounter somebody who's not very
Mm-hmm.
nice. I mean, it of course it depends. Like it depends.
Yeah. I could not agree more. Well, I got a couple of questions for you, and I'm gonna wrap this up. Now, we've talked a little bit about your CC. What are you working on? Anything cool or exciting?
I'm actually working on several sets at the same time. I usually get the way that I get like ideas is that I mean, I just start working on a new set whenever like a new idea pops up in my head. So I'm usually working on multiple things at the same time. I usually post like work in progress updates on
Yeah.
my Patreon for the patrons. And also I have to preface it that you know my Patreon is like not an obligatory thing. Like I feel like I have to say that all the time that you know if you'd like to kind of pledge that's not mandatory at all because all
Mhm.
my content is free and public upon release. But anyway, what I'm working right now is actually I'm working on some cast items, which is
Okay.
not something that I do a lot, but
Hmm.
I am really excited about that. I've been posting like different tattoo designs that I have created
Okay.
myself. So this is something that I'm kind of continuing on working on from time to time. And as I said, I am kind of like I have Illustrator background, so
Hmm.
sometimes when I have like flow of inspiration, I kind of lean back into this like illustration world and um, create something that reflects that kind of interest of mine. And I found that tattoos actually fit quite well because I'm creating like these simplistic designs that are still Maxis Match, which I've been enjoying quite a lot. So that is that in terms of casts. And then in terms of buy mode, actually, I've been trying to experiment a bit more. And I've been trying to create items that I actually miss in the game myself,
Hmm.
like things that I wish I had as like well gameplay items or kind of the styles that I'm missing in the game. So I've been working on this object, and I don't know when this podcast is going to come out, but I think I could just go ahead and talk
Yeah.
about
A
this
hundred, a
also.
100%. This isn't coming out till the end of November. You've got a
All right,
long, yeah.
then maybe by that time that set is already going to be live, who knows,
Who
but I've
knows?
been working on this kind of hobby set, which is kind of centered around baking. I don't know how it's gonna come out yet. I've been working on this stand mixer object, which I'm really
Okay.
excited about. And I know this is like really, again, this is like a mundane thing because we have this like giant cupcake machine in The Sims 4.
But we can
And I
also throw
was
that fucking out the window. Let's be honest. So I'm a chef. Like I went to the culinary experience. I have my seal. I particularly like to be as a baker. You can throw that fucking cupcake machine out the window. I want my stand mixers. I want bags of flour. I want wooden spoons.
right.
Right?
So this is kind of what I'm exploring at the moment, and I think by November I will have something out. Who knows? But yeah, like on the topic of cupcake machine, I was actually thinking about it the other day. Like
Oh yeah.
now that we know the context of The Sims 4, that it was originally basically developed as a like a multiplayer mobile game. Wasn't even a mobile game initially, but it was like
Yeah.
initially developed as a multiplayer, right?
Yeah.
Now it makes sense why all of these like cupcake machines and all of those other giant hobby objects were a thing, because like if it was a mobile game, then it
Mhm.
would make sense that all of
Yeah.
those objects are like scaled up and are completely just out of proportionally like just giant. Like it makes sense from that perspective, and it hit me, like that realization just hit me so hard, and I was like, all right, that's why we have this stupid cupcake machine and not
Mhm.
like a regular, I don't know, kitchen appliance or just interaction on the stove or in the fridge or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, so to sum up, hopefully a baking themed set coming out at some point.
Well, once that's done, let me know, send it my way, and I'll plug it for everybody. I mean, by the time this podcast comes out, I'm sure that will have already happened, but we need more baking stuff. We need more kitchen stuff. Don't give me country kitchen. Don't give me cool kitchen. We need more baking stuff. I want aprons, actual fucking aprons. I want cooking ingredients. I want, like you said, stand mixers, actual cookie trays, cute cookie trays, like cupcake trays, like actually like fucking decorating cupcakes instead of just like blah and like they show up like the fucking birthing machine in The Sims. Like no, like let's get a little bit more of that realism. Well, I'm excited for you for that pack and your tattoos as well because I think we always need more tattoos. Anything fun and crazy that you're working on?
Let's see. Fun and crazy.
Fun and crazy.
Maybe not necessarily at the moment. I mean, the most fun that I've had recently, in terms of creating specifically,
Mm-hmm.
I just released this basically like an 80s inspired TV
Yeah,
object
I
type
saw
of thing.
that. That was cool. That paid homage to me in the first Sims. There was a TV that looked very similar to that. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like I appreciate.
Really, really.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
it's a little like a retro old style TV. Yeah,
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 well, this was actually really fun to create because I do like creating stylized objects. And again, like this is on the topic of creating something that is not necessarily present in The
yeah.
Sims. It's funny because I started creating that specific item like a while ago,
Mhm.
and then the latest kit came out, and there's this like kind of old half broken TV item in
Yeah,
there, which is not necessarily the same style as the TV that I ended up creating, but like I felt like it's a bit of a funny coincidence.
yeah.
So it felt very topical to kind of release it a bit after the new kit dropped. So yeah, like that was really fun, and I hope that I get to create more items like that in the future because I do like kind of spending time on coming up with a design that is unique and then creating it for The Sims essentially.
Well, I love that. Now I have to ask for anybody who's listening and they want to start making their own custom content, what advice would you give them?
Oh my, let's see. I think, of course, like starting, and it's gonna sound like not very deep at all, but
Yeah.
like starting small is always good. Like, first of all, getting to know what you're getting yourself into in terms of kind of like what kind of tools will you need for creating custom content, and also figuring out what kind of content you actually want to create, because again, like there are so many possibilities in terms of like creating mods or CC for The Sims 4, because like
Mhm.
you can explore just about any aspect of content creation for The Sims 4. So maybe thinking about first, what is it that you want to create? Do you want to create cast CC? Do you want to create buy mode or build mode items? Because, all of those things, they might have slightly different processes.
Mhm.
But then of course kind of understanding what kind of tools you will need. There are so many like tutorials, for example, on Sims 4 Studios forums that you can check out to get started, because those are very comprehensive and very, very helpful actually. So kind of looking into that and preparing yourself also mentally that you will be probably failing a lot when you just get started. I mean, you fail a lot in custom content creation all the time. That is going to happen. You're going to get frustrated and you're going to be failing, and some things are not going to be working out as you hope they would, but this is
Mhm.
okay. This is part of the creative process. This is part of creating content. I feel like it's not just relevant to custom content creation for The Sims 4. So like the process might be a bumpy one. It might be a bumpy ride, but it is, if that's something that a person gets into, then it's a very exciting like hobby and creative outlet to have. For me, it definitely is. So yeah.
I think that is such amazing advice. I know a lot of people want to start making CC, but like have no idea on where to start, or like no idea, like the beast of the belly when you start making CC. Well, Mashino-san, I want to say it has been an absolute pleasure for you coming here today and getting to learn a little bit more about you and your CC experiences. Why don't you tell everybody where we can find your amazing work?
All right. So, first of all, it's myshunosun.com, which is essentially my Tumblr page. But then I'm posting my content on Patreon. It's patreon.com/myshunosun. And then actually, if you're a CurseForge user, then I'm also trying to publish my content on CurseForge as well, in case you're using the mod manager from CurseForge. So I would say that those are the primary places where you could find me, and of course on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Myshunosun.
Perfect. The links are going to be below. Please go check out everything. It has been an absolute pleasure you coming here today. You are welcome back anytime, especially if you want to plug any CC. I'm always here for you. Like I said, it has been so fun getting to know you today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for wanting to come. Well, you have a great rest of your day, okay?
You too. Thank
Okay,
you so much.
bye.